First we'll do one program. Next we'll start with the today's topic actually. So I want you to write a program on debit and credit operation. Debit, credit and check balance operation by taking a global balance variable. Okay, I want you to take a global variable which will talk about a balance. Just we'll write a small program today. You understood the concept here? One global variable, balance, and how many functions you have to define? Totally?
Three functions.
Three functions. So
Three.
if you start telling me the code now, I'll write it for you. So what should I write first in the program?
Balance equal to, we can initialize with an amount of 5,000.
So balance is equal to, let us take something, some initial balance. Let us take 500 here or 5,000. This is a global variable. Then
And define
yeah, this is a global and can be accessed everywhere, anywhere I will say. Yeah, define
debit with parameter amount.
yeah amount. I'll just give D amount so that it's clear for you. And the code inside this would be,
We can print a before debiting and after debiting.
okay, we have check balance function. We'll call it, we'll execute one by one and see. See, these are operations. This will only have the logic to debit an amount. It will not show amount is available
Global
this much. Yeah. Sorry, global.
global balance.
Yeah, balance.
Balance plus equal to D amount.
Okay. Now you can print this if you want. I'm writing after debit in real time. They don't mention that. And we can't say plus. See, one more thing I want to teach today. Now, generally in Java, we used to write a message followed by a variable, like if it's a balance variable. But this message is a string data type and this variable is of a integer data type. So in Python, we had a problem here because this plus acts like a concatenation. String plus is nothing but a concatenation. So it will give an error. So if you want this to be concatenated, here the integer can be converted to a balance for presentation sake. So sometimes we need to do the presentation of information which is non-string type. So for conversion of non-string type or numeric types to string, we have a predefined function called str. So now balance has become a text type of data. I think Chandrasekhar left. What happened? Yeah, Ravi. So to convert integer to string or float to string, we have a string function. So right now, this is
We
a
can
string.
keep comma, ma'am, there.
Yeah, if I do comma, I'll tell you that difference right now. If I do, okay, I'll show it in the idle for you. What is the difference between comma and plus? Okay. What is it doing right now? Can you see something here? Okay.
A space, ma'am.
Space. That means if I give like this, has it joined? Yeah. So did you see when I'm typing with comma, what is happening when I use comma? If I type anything with comma, what will happen here?
It is taking like a list.
Not list, tuple. It's taken like a tuple object, right? But if I take, okay, 1, comma, this is also same concept, no? It is also like a tuple only, but tuple of string type.
Strings.
But if I take 1 plus 2 plus 3, so how many objects are created here? It's one string object. So sometimes for presentation, like I want the presentation like available balance is, okay, let us take a balance is equal to 500, and I want to show it on the screen saying that balance is, so should I go for this or should I go for concatenation?
Concatenation.
Because with comma it becomes a tuple, so I want to concatenate, but this gives an error because the left side one is the string and the right side one is an integer. So if I want a message with a combination of string and an integer, I cannot use concatenation operator. For that, we have to convert the balance into a string format. So the message, we can do
Casting,
the
man.
conversion. Yeah, no, it's like a function here. Typecasting, yeah, we are casting the data type only, but using functions here. In Java, we used to do typecasting operator. Here we don't have operator, we have functions. Fine, it's coming like a message right now. So any information if you want to present, no, convert into string type. Anything which is non-string type, you can convert using string function. So in this, that's the reason I said available balance after debit. I showed with which format? String format. So balance
String.
is converted in the string format. Is that clear right now? Any confusion?
Yeah.
Yeah. Now next is a function to
Define credit.
credit function.
See amount.
Yeah. So let me just do the same thing. Copy paste.
Minus.
Sorry, here we had to do minus. This was a debit. This was a credit. Crediting is depositing. Okay. Clear till here? And last one is check
balance.
Now what should we write here?
Print balance. Available balances.
So do I need to declare global variable here? Global keyword, is it required?
No need.
No, because we don't have any local class here. Now once you have written this program, I just want to execute this. So execution, instead of going to shell and doing, I want to write the steps here only. See, I can load the program and then we can call each of the functions one by one here itself on the shell. On the shell, we can load the file and call the functions, like if I just want to call the data, I can directly see that. If I want to call debit of 500, I can do that. So if I want to again debit 200, I can do that. So I'm able to credit. Is that clear? So if I want to say check balance, I'm able to see that because I have already run the file. But if it is restarted, then I had to import test23 and everything I had to call with test23 module name only. Then only I'll get the data or whatever it is. I cannot call directly. So if you want to call directly, like previously how we call just debit, just credit. So for that we have to type an import statement like from test23 import everything. Like in Java we say no, import java.util.star. Like you're importing everything here. This is only calling the file, but you're not giving what you want to call. So we need to call everything manually with the module name. But here I said it's like downloading everything in this location. So now we can call anything directly when I mention the import statement with the keyword from. From module 23, we want to import everything. So now I don't have to call test 23. If I do that, it will give an error because I already downloaded. That means like the whole code of it is copied in the shell right now. Everything is as if present in this page only. And whatever is available here, I will not call with test 23. It has come to you right now. So you can directly say balance. But you should not say test 23.balance is wrong because we imported everything into the current location. So debit of 400 or credit of 500, then check balance. So here I had to write it, but if I close the shell or anything, so I want to write the steps here and check it so that we can edit it here. So I just want to say check balance. First I'll call this function, then I want to call debit function, then I want to call credit function, then I want to call check balance function. So I've written the whole program in this file itself. Means these steps are just the definition of the code till here. And this is like the main step right now, main program steps. Executions. So instead of typing in the shell one by one, I can type it there and call it at once. Is that clear right now? So difference between local and global, I think you are clear right now. Okay. Chandrasekhar, is that clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, only
It is clear, ma'am.
only this symbol I have used today with string function. Because we know that
Uh,
string cannot be like we cannot do no string concatenation. Can I do like this? Can I say 500 like this?
no, ma'am.
No, because this should have the string only. String can be concatenated with string. So to do that, if I want to add a number, convert that number to a string format. Then we can do that. So typecasting kind of.
Yeah. Okay, pleasure is a concatenation, ma'am.
Yes, plus is a concatenation because what is here in this left side is a string. So when I
String, yes, ma'am.
use a plus with string, it becomes a concatenation. If it's a number,
Ma'am, if we do it as balances and comma, ma'am.
yeah,
If we just
balance.
comma out there.
Yeah, I'll show that. How is it looking like? Presentation,
Okay.
tuple.
Yes,
Whenever
ma'am.
you put multiple information, any information, it will become like tuple of values. So it's like tuple of values. If I want just a message, this is some message. So a message should be a complete continuous message only, sorry, string of. That means if I want any message with a combination of variables, integer variables and a string variable. So then we have to convert whatever is non-string into a string format. So in Java, we used to just write, okay, hello plus it used to work. It used to work in Java, but not here. Now, concatenation of the similar type only. Tuple can be added with tuple. Like if I take a tuple, it can only be added with a tuple only, not any other data type. If I take a tuple and a list, it will give an error. If I take a tuple and a list, it will give an error. So it's like concatenation. It is overloaded actually. It is doing some extra work. We'll be learning this concept later. How plus is
Yes,
able
ma'am.
to concat two lists, two tuples. We have a chapter for that also. Right? So right now we should only understand plus should be either used with numeric types or two string types, but not a combination of different types. Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
fine. So today we'll be learning about types of functions. Now functions and function definitions, function calls, function return types, and function inputs. I think all these are clear right now. Okay, and here call of a function is by reference here, or we say call by reference with inputs. Here is called as call by reference, but not call by value. What is that call by value and call by reference? I think we have been learning from C language onwards. What is that call by value and what is that call by reference?
Call by reference is like calling with address.
Yeah. So whenever somebody is calling this sum function, I'm not actually sending the values to them. I'm not sending the values to the sum function. These are global. See, here only one thing we have to understand now. 3 is an object. Now one more thing I'll talk today. I said we spoke about an area called stack area in the last class where local data is loaded. We discussed about this. And one is class area where the global data is loaded. Means the code of the global data is loaded. Okay. And there is one more area called as heap area. So this area is only occupied by objects. Any object you create, this will be just dumped inside this area only. If you type 25, 25 will be here inside this block only. But to call that data, call those objects, we are using references. So these are references. So I can create my references either in the class area, or let us say global area, or in the local area. But they'll point to which data? Point to the objects from which area? Heap area. Any object which you declare. So object means what? Information in Python. This is which object? Integer object. If I just type text, it is which object? String object. If I just type, it is which object? List object. So whenever I write some data in a program, in a file, this data will be loaded in which part of the interpreter? Only the heap areas, nowhere else. Anything which you type as an information will be always loaded in the heap area directly. But how do we call it again and again? So that object's base address of the objects will put it in a variable. So which variable we have to see? So I declared 3 references here. These variables are not primitive variables, these are references. So Python has only reference variables. So what is the meaning of reference variables? Only stores addresses of the objects, but not the data. The data is inside the heap right now. So we have to just understand this is somewhere else, this is somewhere else. N is a variable which is just pointing to the address of this object, this data. L1 is a reference to some string object. T1 is a reference to some list object. So you can create any object by just typing the symbols here. So this is a tuple object. All objects are lying in the heap area only. So now I just said T1. So N, L1, D1, T1 are all which type of variables? L1, T1 or D1 are all which type of variables? Reference variables. Now reference variables are of how many types? They can be of global types or they can be of local types. So now till yesterday you understood right now. If I type something like this D is located where exactly? D is a variable of which type? But if I define a function and inside that I said D2 is equal to some list. Now this D2 is a reference of which type? Of function. Is that clear? References are important. This reference is a global reference to some list. List is in the heap only. D2 is a reference which is in the stack. It's a temporary one. But this is also pointing to what? An object. But this reference will only live as long as this function is running. As long as this function is running, this list is alive. So the list 456 is active only till D2 is active. It's alive. I mean to say till how long this is alive, this list is active. And how long this D2 is active? D2 is only alive. D2 will be destroyed after function. After the function execution is over. So this time period is less right now. So D2 is called as the local variable. So this list will only be there in the system as long as D2 is there. And how long D2 will be there is as long as this function is executing. If nobody call the function, this data will also not be loaded in the system. Neither D2 will be there nor this list will be there. So only when somebody calls this function, then only while it is executing, this gets loaded and this is pointing to the object, list object. But once the function execution is over, after this line, after this, D2 is unloaded again. So while it is executing, these all things are existing. But once the execution is over, nothing is there in the system. Once execution is completed, nothing will there be in the system. But what about this list? Is it a local list or is it a list connected to a global variable? Did I declare this list?
It is a global map.
Yeah, the list is an object only. It will be in a heap only, but it's connected to a global variable. And
Global.
how long this variable will be there in the program? As long as this program is
As
running.
long as a program.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
So this is for a longer time. So as long as somebody is using the file, they have imported the module, or we are in the module only, till that time D is active. So D is a global reference. Fine. Is that clear to you? Any confusion in this concept? Now I'll just
No,
show
ma'am.
practically to you. You'll understand what I mean to say. Okay. And print, okay, display. Yesterday I discussed about this. Okay. So that means if I print D1, what will be the output? There are only two definitions. I'm just trying to print D1. What will be the output? There is a global list connected with a D1 variable. I have written two definitions here. This is just to display the list D1, and this is just to change that list only. There is no local list here. You can see that I didn't declare any local variable. What is a local variable here? This data is a local variable. This data is a local variable. So what will be the output here? Can you answer this?
What, ma'am? I didn't get the question.
Okay.
1, 2, 4.
Yeah, I wrote just one variable. These are only definition of functions, no? They are not currently executing, you know that. These
Yes,
are
ma'am.
only definitions. Unless we call them, they will not execute, no? Definitely. they'll not get executed on their own. I have to call those function definitions, then only they'll get executed. So
Yes, ma'am.
after these two definitions, I just wrote a print message. I want to print. What do you want to print? D1.
D1.
This statement is a global statement in a global section. So when I said D1, it will check which data? Global data. So what is printed here right now?
1, 2, 4.
Fine, this one. Okay. Now if I said change list of some file, what will be the output on the screen? After that, if I print
1, 2,
D1,
4, 5, ma'am.
yeah, in this I didn't do any printing. In the function I didn't do printing. After that, when I printed, it's talking about 4 and 5. Any confusion till here?
No, ma'am.
Fine. Now let me take this list here. I've taken this. Now just check the output again, once again. I even declared it below also. I'm writing the same global variable below the definitions.
Ma'am, it will show an error, ma'am. Printed E1, ma'am. Ash 1, 2, 4, 5. It is a comment.
Yes, one second. Let me just show. Yeah, you have to just now understand that whether I declare this variable on the in the beginning line or anywhere in the file, anywhere. But what will happen in the line, the program is this will only get loaded in the system first. Global variables, the definitions, all are loaded together. After loading, only execution starts actually. See, I didn't declare it here, no, on the top. Did I declare here? I didn't declare on. If I declare on the top or down, doesn't make any difference because, yeah, I wrote a definition of the function, which is using which variable? D1. Do we have any D1 here as of now in the coding part? Do we have any D1 variable inside the function definition as of now?
No, ma'am.
No, but it's not like a compiler. It's not compiling this now. It's not like it is searching for the data. We are using which software here? Interpreter. So when I run this file, like directly if I say F5, when I'm interpreting the file, what is happening first? It will check the whole code and out of that, what is the data here? D1. So D1 is the actual data which will be loaded first in the system. These are only definitions of some functions. They are not going to run now. So it will load this global variable and then after that what did we do? We just called it D1. Then we are calling this function. So that means these functions are not executing in the beginning, no? I didn't execute them. Okay, let me do that once. What I mean to tell you here is, if I declare D1 below and I said display list, will it work now? What I'm trying to execute in the program first? Which line I'm executing now?
Function.
Yeah, what is it
Function,
trying
ma'am.
to do? What is it trying to do?
Printing D1, which is not yet defined.
Yeah, just think. So that means what is the problem here in the scenario? When I called this function, by that time D1 wasn't loaded because execution happens line by line. No? It's an interpreter. Line by line executions. So the whole file is loaded and what is executed first? Display list. What is there inside the display list? Print some D1. Is that variable loaded right now? It's not yet loaded because that means interpretation happens from top to bottom only like this. And what I called is display set. By that time it did not even load that D1. So we had a problem. But if I keep it somewhere here, before calling the function, if I load the data, then you can call it actually. Now it will work. Before executing only, I just gave the data. So data got loaded first right now, and then I'm calling this function. It's not like a compiler that compiler like it sees that there is no such variable. Like in Java program, we used to write all here only, something here. Then only I used to call that variable. It's not in that manner. It's only compilation, like just like an interpretation. Whenever you run the line, the code should be available. Everything should be a proper syntax. Okay, so this is display list, change list, and again if I display list, what is the output?
One, two, four, five.
Yeah, so this we are already clear. Now only one thing what I want to say here is, okay, now now can you just give a guess? How many D1 variables are there right now? I've written some code. How many variables are there in this whole file?
Two, ma'am.
2, ma'am.
This is one. Initialize
Global.
with 1 to 4. Another?
Inside change this function.
In
Is this local or is this local?
In the second line, set the function
the second line, when D1 equal to.
No. Think if I say print D1, what will happen then? Which D1 it is talking about?
5.
Now just see. This is a list object. There's only one list created. One list object is created in the heap area. Okay? And is referred by which variable? D1 global. Now D1 is a global one pointing to this object. Let me remove this part right now. And what did I call right now? I call the function. And what did I pass to it right now? Let me say
5.
10,
Right.
20, 30. Let me just get that. What did I pass to the change list right now?
10, 20.
What is this right now?
New
10, 20, 30. I've put it in which symbol?
List, ma'am.
Yeah, so that means a new list, no? This is a total new list object with which value? Okay, this is an object. Do I have any name to this list right now? Is it a direct constant list?
It is
Direct.
D1.
Is it D1? What is
We
D1?
have given def change in list, we have D1 now, ma'am.
No,
It will be passed
We
as D1.
initialized not that. Passed as D1, ma'am.
no, not like that. Not like that. Whenever I write anywhere like this, what happens? This is an object. Anywhere you type something, this is an information, no? Or data. This is a new object. Whenever you write anything, not only this, if you write something, this is an object. If you write something, this is an object. If you write something, not like Java. In Java, we had to do with this keyword. Okay, integer. If I want a new object, we used to do like this. If I want a new string object, we can do like this. In Java also, we can do this, but array and all, we cannot do like that. List and all, collection objects. How did we do that? In this manner. Whenever you wanted to create a new list, we used to do like this or not. Again, if I want a new list, I used to type like this every time. In Java, means in Java, new array list was created only with which keyword? New keywords only. But here we are not using such things here. We are not using new keyword in Python. Means how the objects are created in Python. You just give a data, it will automatically convert into an object now. Which data you have given here? Which kind of data it is? It's of list type. List type of data. That means it's which object now? List object. Automatically one object is created when you physically write some data. This is an object. Now, is it having a reference or not? It's up to you. Now, what did I write in this sentence? D2 is pointing to which object? A list object. What is the value of that list? 5, 6, 7.
6 and 7.
So, in this line, from line 1, 2, 3, how many objects are created? In
Three
the
objects.
first line, one object, one list object is created with 1, 2, 4. And who is pointing to that object? D1. In the second line, we have created another object. What is that object consists of? 258.
2, 5.
Means if you want, you can directly call this in print statement. No? I can do that. I can create an object and immediately print it also. In the second line, second object was created. But is it having a reference or no reference to it?
No reference.
No reference. So it will be automatically garbage collected. Is garbage collected after this line. After this line. Sometime automatically. Automatic garbage collection. Now third line, what did we write? Again we created a new
5, 6.
list object. But who is pointing to this? D2.
3, 2.
Got this? So there are now how many objects are available? And we come to the fourth line. How many list objects are actively found?
2.
Only two of them. Third one is already deleted. This one is already destroyed because it does not have any reference. Any object without a reference will be automatically removed from the system. Automatic memory management. Clear? Any confusion till here?
Oops.
So now when I say here one list is created and I'm calling which function?
Print.
Okay. If I said print D1, you can understand that list is printed. Fine. Now I'm calling the function and what am I passing? This function expects something, anything. You pass anything, it will take it. So what did I pass to the function? Which object I
List
passed?
contains 10,
A
20, 30.
new list object. I passed a new list object with 10, 23, 30 as an argument. And this object is now passed to the function and it is stored in which variable? It becomes like
D1.
this,
D1.
as if it's like this. Now, what is this D1? Is it like variable or not? Is it a
Variable, ma'am.
yeah,
A
this
reference
variable? Yeah, this is a reference variable. So, is it a global reference or is it a local reference?
Local, ma'am.
Yes, because sometimes when we write like this and say N1, N2, these are local, these are not global. So we have to compare with that. Okay. So this is a local variable. And now this local variable is pointing to which object?
10, 20, and 30.
10,
New
20,
list.
30. Fine. Now when I print this, what will be printed here inside this function?
10, 20,
20,
30.
and 30.
10, 30. Now, so that means this will print 10, 20, 30. After this again I am coming and saying that, okay, let me write directly. What is
1, 2.
printed right now?
1, 2, 4.
Yes, because you should understand there are two objects here. One is a global object with a global variable. Another is a just an object which is passed to the local variable. Fine. And if I want the same list should be passed to the function, what should I do? Same list, I want to pass it to the list, pass it to this function
Global D1.
so that it can do changes in that.
We needed global D1 and D1 dot append, ma'am. Okay, sir.
Yes. Okay. Global, no, we'll get confused. One second. Can do something like this here, nothing more than that. Here I am passing D. Now what will be the output here? Just see the list. There's only one global list. I printed initially 1 to 4. After that I'm calling the function and what did I pass to it? Which list I'm passing?
Global list.
Global list,
Global
ma'am.
list only I passed it. So this list, this is global reference, but this is stored in which reference right now?
Local.
Yeah,
Local reference.
only the variables are same, but they are not same variables. This is a local variable and this is a global variable.
Okay.
And we are applying changes on which data? D1 dot append
Local.
file.
Local.
Okay, D1 is a reference.
It already stores 1, 2, and 4.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, pointing to what? Pointing to which data?
Global D1.
Global
An
D1, ma'am.
object,
Object.
which was having which data?
1, 2.
There can be only one object right now. This is only one object we have taken. One is a global reference, another is a local reference. So let me give it as a temporal so that you'll understand now. Now I'm taking a new variable here. Now what is temp and d1 pointing to? What is d1 pointing to? A list. List with which value?
1, 2, 4.
4.
1, 2,
I pass the same list to which variable?
Temporary.
Temp. So temp is
temporary.
also pointing to which object?
1, 2, 1.
1 to
D1, 1 to 4.
So there is only one object here, whether I'm looking from the global point of view or whether I'm looking at the local point of view. Both are pointing to the same. So here when I said temp dot append, it is appending which object?
Temporary. Local.
Variable is local. It is pointing to which object is important?
To the list, ma'am.
To the list. Which list?
Global.
There is only one list. There is only
One global list.
Yeah, this list is not like a global or something. It's an object. Fine.
Yes.
I just got a list which is stored in this variable. I'm just changing that list only. There is only one list overall in this program. So that list got appended with which value? 5. And here when I'm printing, what will be the output right now?
1, 2, 4, 5.
5. So after changing the list, also if I print D1, what will be the output?
1, 2, 4.
Think again. There is only one list here, 1, 2, 4. Okay. We have taken a variable, global variable here, D1, pointing to this one. I pass this list to what right now? A variable. What is the variable right now? Function of a function right now. This variable is present inside a function. But this is also pointing to what right now? Same object. There was only one object, list object. Initially D1 is equal to that list 1 to 4. Clear? We just created. This is a heap area. This is called as heap area. This region is called as the heap area, right? Where the objects are stored. But where is this variable stored? It is in which area? Global area. Okay. And where is this temporary load stored? In the local area. These are 3 different regions if you see. Okay. Is that clear right now? There are 3 parts. The D1 is stored in which variable, which location? Global. Temporary is found in which location? Local. And the object is found in which location? The object of the list, it's found in which area? Are you able to understand or not?
Yes, ma'am.
1 to 4 is found in the heap area.
In heap area.
Okay, these are objects. Any object you see, it will be here only. Any object. Now D1 is declared in which location?
It's global. It's class area, ma'am.
Yeah, and it's pointing to what?
1 to 4.
Okay, it's pointing to that object only. And we
Yes, ma'am.
pass this to which function? The change function.
Temp.
Change
Yes,
function
ma'am.
has a variable called temp. It is which kind of a variable?
Local.
And it is pointing to which object?
1 to 4.
1 to 4. There is only single object. Means in this program, there is only one object here. There is a single object. There's a single list object with 1 to 4 in that. And that has how many references to it?
2.
2 references to it. So even if I type d1 dot append of 5, or if I type temp dot append of 6. So where can I type this sentence? Outside the function. Where can I type this statement?
Inside the function.
Inside this function. Inside the function. This should be outside the function. But what are they going to change? What are they changing? What are they appending the values to?
The object, ma'am.
Both are,
Single object.
yeah, appending the values to the list object with 1 to 4. So first it became like this and then becomes like this. So list is 1 only. So first that 1 to 4 will become 5, and then it will become 1 to 4, 5, 6. So you can check that. If you say print d1 or if you say print temporary, what will be the output here?
For printed D1, 1, 2, 4, 5.
Huh.
For printed temp, if you append 6, it will be 1, 2, 4, 5, 6.
Yes, time is only different. We have to see. Let us see that output. Okay. Now this clear right now. No? Let me remove
Yes,
this
ma'am.
concept only. So I have only one function that change. Okay. So I have taken a list. I printed the list. It is showing 1 to 4. Let us see step by step. I have taken a list and there is a global variable for that. And I'm trying to print the list. So what will be the output right now? What will be the right output right now? If I run
1,
the
2,
program,
4.
yes, it's only called and we see only 1 to 4. Now if I say d1 dot append of 5, then if I print d1, what is the output?
1, 2, 4, 5.
Now if I, okay, let me write 6 something. Okay, 10 and the date. So I'm just saying that, okay, change the list. Which list? With,
D1, comma.
I'm writing this. Okay, I just call this function and I passed what? I passed which list?
D1 and 6.
So by that time d1 was pointing to which list?
1, 2, 4, 5.
5. Here it became, after appending it became 1 to 4, 5. We passed this list and comma, what did we pass?
6.
So what it has done to that? It has taken that list and stored in this variable. Now temp is equal
Ma'am, your
to,
voice is breaking, ma'am.
okay, one second, one second.
Ravi, mute your mic.
Yeah, I'm just muted the voice. Okay, one second.
It is good, ma'am, right now.
Now is it okay or is it breaking?
It is okay, ma'am.
Okay, fine. Yeah. So now just think that I have taken that list and added 5. By that time the list became like this. Okay, let us do first printing that and check. What will be the output right now? Initially 1 to 4. Next it is 1 to 4, 5. Already we have
1,
seen
2,
that.
4, 5.
Yeah, 1 to 4, 5. We have seen that. After that, I want to change the list. So I want to add something to that. For that already I written a function. In this function, what are the arguments required? I should pass the list and the data to be added to that. I have to pass the list and the data to that. So I'm calling a function called change the list and whatever. Okay, let me give some other name here. Give me a list. I'm just giving a list variable. You pass a list to it and give a data to be appended. So To this, I'm passing which list right now? The list which is connected to which variable? D1.
1.
So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 4, and now it is currently 1, 2, 4, 5. Same list I'm passing, and I want to append which data to this? To append 6 to which list? D1 list.
D1.
So D1 list is right now which value? It is this
1, 2,
one.
4.
1, 2.
After that, after changing the list, if I print, what will be the value of D1? I gave my list to which variable? This variable. Now list is pointing to the 1, 2, 4, 5 list only. And we pass the data 6 to this one. So what it has done, taken that list and appended 6 to that. So which list both are talking about? They are talking about the same old list only. Same list has been taken from two different locations. Previously we appended on 5 on it through the global area. Second, we pass this list itself to the function. We gave this list to a function along with the new data which should be appended on it. So this function has appended 6 on the given list. Which list? 1, 2, 4, 5. So that's the reason we pass the list to it and the new data for appending. And what it has done? Taken that list and appended new data to that. So now when I print D1, D1 is pointing to the same old list only. But now is the list same or it has been appended by 6? Is it same data or is it appended by 6 right now?
It is appended by 6, ma'am.
1, 2, 4, 5, 6. Okay. So whether I'm changing here or there doesn't matter. I gave my list to somebody or this function. They have modified the same list here. That's the reason we are able to see the updation from outside also. Even if I say print inside also, the answer is same. It will say 1, 2, 4, 5, 6 only. Anywhere you call it, anywhere you'll get that same value. After some time also you see answer is the same. D1 is nothing but the same 1, 2, 4, 5, 6 list right now. But if you say instead of this, if I say list is equal to data, what will happen now?
List will be created.
I had a list. This is clear, no? There's no doubt about this part.
No.
No, ma'am.
Now we are calling the function. I gave my data to it. I gave my list to it. Now along with the data, what it has done? Initially it was pointing to 1, 2, 4, 5. Initially this list was pointing to the object only. After that, what has happened? So whatever you're comfortable, let us take that only. So the temporary was initially pointing to which list?
1, 2, 4, 5.
1, 2, 4, 5. It was pointing to that. Now, after that, in the coding, what did we do? Temp is equal to what?
It is assigned with 6.
So now temp is pointing to the list or the data?
Data.
Yeah. Temp now points to the data. That is 6 right now. Whatever you are sending now, that's 6 data. Now, when I print this temp, what is the output on the screen?
6.
It's showing as 6. But what about D1? What is D1 pointing to still?
1, 2, 4, 5.
Yes. So output here would be 1, 2, 4, 5, but output inside will be 6. So it's only about the objects in Python and references. Okay. If you are passing the object to another reference also, it will save it actually. Same object can be referred from various locations any number of times. Okay. Is that clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Any confusion here?
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
I'll just give you one more example.
Ma'am,
Yes, yeah.
in Java we are having getters and setters, no, ma'am.
Yes, yeah.
As in Python, we have anything like that, ma'am.
Yeah, we have to go to object orientation. We have not even started with object orientation. Same classes will be there, same inheritance, same polymorphism, but difference is there in Python. Everything
Okay.
is not similar to Java, but all those concepts, multi-threading, all concepts are there. Now, till now, what we are learning is collections only. Collections.
Yes, ma'am.
So array list, these all things, no stacks, queues are also there in this Python. But as of now, we learned only list. This is array list. We have learned tuple. So they're non-modifiable. So there are collection types actually. So we even have queues, we have linked lists, those things are also there. But they are in other libraries actually. And in Python, we'll have mostly these kind of data structures in NumPy. There are other libraries called as NumPy or Pandas. There are two libraries. I'll discuss at the end about that actually. So as of now, basics of the core, like whatever is found in the basic libraries, I'll be teaching completely. Right?
Okay.
Now, if I just define a function and I take n2 is equal to n. Okay, now can you just understand what I did here? Whatever I have done, I just want to print and tell the answer right now. Yeah. 5 is an object with global reference. Forget about this definition first. Don't think about the function. Okay, there was a data with the reference n. Execution is this one. I executed the n value. What is the output on the screen?
5.
5. After that, what did I do? I'm
We
calling
call
the
the
function.
function.
Now check what is there inside the function. What is there inside the function?
N2 is assigned with n, ma'am.
Yes, n2 is which type of reference?
It is local, ma'am.
It is pointing to which information? A new information or an existing information?
Existing information.
So n2 is pointing to, n2 is also pointing to 5. The same 5 to which n is referring to. N is also pointing to. Clear? Both are pointing to the same data. That's what you have to understand. There is only one object 5. Now how many references for it? N and n2. N is a global reference, n2 is a local reference. Now what did we do here right now?
We are assigning another value to n2, ma'am.
This is a new object. Okay, fine. N2 is equal to 20.
20.
Now when I come out, see here if I print n2, definitely it is 20. There's no other doubt about this. Now if I come out and say print n value, what will be the n's value?
5, ma'am.
Yeah, that we have to be very clear about these concepts. Because here no clarity, no, everything we have to understand, not like Java. In Java, everything is clear because we know how it is giving an output. Okay, so here the only thing was initially n2 was pointing to 5. Initially it was pointing to 5, but later it has been changed. It is now pointing to what? Another information. New object is created. So now n2 is pointing to a new object. It is printed, and when you come outside, n is still pointing to the same. But if you want to increase n's value only, what you should do there? Instead of 20, you want to change n's value. What should we do?
What, ma'am?
I want to increase the n value. I want to increase its value by 1. What should we do? I want to change it by 1. Means I want to make it 6, right? What should I do?
n2 plus equal to 1.
Yes. Okay. and that is important here. Now I'm changing the object here in this manner. It has created a new object. That's what is important here. It is a new object. Whatever you do, it will create a new object. Whatever you do, it's a new object only. Only for list it was not a new object. In list it was not there. Because in list what is there? Only appending operations we called. We just called and we gave the appending operations. So if I said here something, n2 is equal to n and n2 dot append of, this is only for list, not for the normal data. N2, or if I print outside also N2. You can understand now?
Yes, ma'am.
Only for list it is one object. But if it is not list, and if it was not list and you have taken a normal data and you are trying to do some plus operation or anything on that, whatever you do, plus is equal to 5 also you do, it won't change that data. N is still pointing to 5 and N2 is pointing to a new object created. So this is two different things here. Is that clear? Any confusion in this concept?
No, ma'am. It
Yeah,
is clear.
we have to keep
Clear,
on
ma'am.
executing, because see there's no explanations here. We can't see explanations here. Everything we have to understand on our own, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So now we'll go for the actual topic for today, that is like types of functions. Right now, we understood the functions and the local and the global. I will go for the types of function definitions. So in Python, we can go with various types of definitions. First one is, we can simply say as required arguments. Means if you define a function with only two variables, how many arguments we have to pass to it? Required means how many it is expecting. We need to pass exactly the same number of arguments as expected in the definition, in the input parameters. So whatever is mentioned in the definition as an input list, what is your list right now? It is expecting how many inputs? 2. So whenever we call this function, we have to pass how many values? It's mandatory to pass 2. We can't pass more or less. It's wrong. This will give a wrong answer. I can't even give less on that. This also gives the wrong. So this is called as required arguments. How many are expected? We have to pass the same. Till now we have done the same concept. Okay. This is a basic concept only. Like if I have a function with 2 arguments, I have to definitely pass 2 arguments. I can't pass less than that. So I cannot call with less arguments or more arguments. Let us see this first. So it says some function missing one required positional argument for n2. So it got the argument for n1, but n2 is missing here. So if I pass 2, it is okay. This is fine. But if I pass more, it gives an error. Sum takes 2 positional argument, but how many were given? 3 were given. So we can't pass. It requires only 2, but you have passed 3. So it won't ask. It won't accept 3 arguments. So this concept is called as required arguments. How many are expected? Pass that many only. Neither more nor less. Second is keyword arguments. That means now if I write a function, okay, 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 like a register function. I want to register somebody's data. So I said a name, mobile, landline, something like this. Here you can print it up to you. I'm just writing here. with comma I am writing. It will look like a tuple right now. Output will come like a tuple. So here I am defining a function whose requirement is how many variables right now? There are 3 inputs required. But what am I expecting first? Name and a mobile and a landline. So when I call the function, how do we call this function generally? We have to pass directly the instruction. Okay. So by mistake, if somebody gave like this and then they gave, will it give any error? Will it give any
No,
error?
ma'am.
Oh, it will only say that name is tech, mobile is 422 this one, and landline is this. But is it like a correct one? Did the user supply the inputs in the correct order?
No.
No, just the order was mismatched. I just gave the data in a wrong order. So my information looked something different. Like if you had written a sentence here saying that name is this part like this, then your message, will it be looking correct or it look like wrong? Will it look wrong or not?
It will look wrong.
So that means we have to pass always the data in the correct order. Order is important here. So if the person does not pass the values in the correct order, it will give an error. Error means output will be wrong. Presentation will come in the wrong order. So to avoid that, what we can do, now user should not know how I should pass the argument. Whatever he passes, he should accept. Sometimes I may pass this one to the last argument. Whatever I want to pass. I should only think that what I need to pass. I have to pass a name, I have to pass a mobile number and a landline. But it should accept. Whatever you pass, it should accept. But it should be in the correct variable. So for that, while passing, he can mention very clearly the keywords, the variable names, whatever is mentioned in the program, that variables you can use it with the value. I can say landline is equal to this. I can put name is equal to something and mobile is equal to this thing. So that means I'm passing 3 arguments. But how am I passing? Am I passing in this order, name, mobile and landline, or I'm passing in a jumbled order?
Jumbled order.
Jumble.
But only what is clear here, keywords are clear. Whatever is mentioned in this program, same keywords we have to use here. So mention the values along with the keywords. Say that landline is this value, name is this value, mobile is this value. Now automatically it will match up that, and that means already it got initialized. Name got this value, mobile got this value, and landline got this value. Then it won't go wrong. So that means when should I go for keyword arguments is when we want to pass the arguments in any order you like. So that means we don't have to think about the order of arguments. I have to mention the arguments with the keywords, then only it will work. Because when I'm writing here I should pass the first number will be taken as n1 and the second will be always taken as n2. So always just think like a area calculation or anything. If I say find area and I'm expecting a length and a breadth, something. So what will happen? Formula is okay, length into breadth only. But while printing it will go wrong. When I said that length is this, so this will not look good. If you write the answer will look at the wrong answer right now. If I pass the answers in a wrong order. So input should be always given in a proper order as expected in the program. If you don't want to pass in the correct order, whatever you want to pass. So we have to call this function by saying, if I know the breadth value, I'll pass breadth first and then I'll pass the length next. You can pass any value in any order, but only what is important here, the keyword should be mentioned here. So this is called as keyword argument. Is that clear? This one. So for defining this, I have to mention, because if I don't do this, if I do like this, then will it be correct? Does it look correct or is it wrong? This is the breadth, actually this is the length. But when I pass this as the first argument, 6 is placed in which variable? Length becomes 6.
Right.
So its answer is correct, but this presentation goes wrong. So if you don't want the presentation to be wrong and you want to pass any value in any order without looking at the coding order, so mention this way. Okay, this will give wrong presentation. That length is equal to 5, 6, and breadth is equal to 8 will get it here, 10 will get it. But here it is a proper one. I'll show length is equal to 8 and breadth is equal to 5. This will be the correct presentation. So what is this called as right now? This type of function definition is called as keyword arguments. So while calling the function, pass the arguments with keywords. That is called as keyword arguments. Is it clear, this part? Definition is normal, no change in the definition. Only while calling the function, we have to call the function by values with keywords. Clear? Any confusion in this part, both of you?
Clear, ma'am.
No, ma'am, it is clear.
Third one is default arguments. Default arguments what right now? Just in the same program, like a registration module. You had to register for some site or something, some app. You wanted to just purchase something or anything. I want to register that. Just think if registration says that, please type your name, type your mobile, type your landline. Can you register successfully? How many arguments are expected here?
3.
3. But can you now register with this app? Now just think yourself. You are the person who is registering. What you can type? Can you type this? Can you give this value? Can you mention any landline value right now?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have landline number? Does every person has a landline number?
Not all everyone, ma'am.
Yeah, so that means if somebody does not have a registration, that means landline number. Who has a landline number? This is fine. Okay, whatever it is. Okay, 422. This is okay. But if somebody registers without landline number, will it accept?
You will not accept.
Yeah, because it's required how many? 3. We have to pass 3 for sure. We can't pass less as we don't have landline karke. If you don't have landline, so that's the reason I'm registering with these two. That form will not get submitted. That form says please enter the landline. It's mandatory. So everybody may not have a landline. So for that, what it should do is, I can give any value. I'm just giving none here. Okay, none as a keyword. Keyword is none. This is like void, no data type. So in definition itself, name I didn't supply a value, mobile I did not supply a value, but landline already gave a value. What is the value I gave? None. That means if somebody does not supply a value, it will automatically take which value? Default value is none. Default. So first person is registering with a name, landline, mobile and a landline. So now none is replaced with which value? Here the landline will be replaced with is equal to none is replaced with the new value 422. But in this one, did I pass a landline value?
Oh,
No. So here what will happen right now? As
landline equal to null.
yeah, landline is not mentioned, it will use default value. Now because you have learned Java, in Java, if you want to register in more than one way, we did method overloading. In class, we have written register with name and mobile. So we had to write like this. And we had to write one more definition with register with name, mobile. So we had to write again and again. Overloading, method overloading we did in Java. So here coding is unnecessarily written so many times. So that problem is resolved. In Java we used to do more coding using method overloading. But here one method we are writing only once. We will not have method overloading concept in Python. Python does not have method overloading topic. So whatever method you write it, whatever is optional. So whichever value is an optional value, you can just give a default value for it here itself. So that even if he does not pass it, it will accept. So now this function can be executed by passing how many arguments? 3 arguments or at the most 2, because landline is optional here. Clear? So this is like register with all the 3 inputs or register with minimum 2 inputs right now. So this concept is called as default. Is that clear to you? Any confusion in this?
Clear, ma'am.
Fine. So this is default, whatever. See, if I'm writing a
Ma'am, can we use null, ma'am, instead of none?
no, null, that null is replaced here with none. Null is in Java or other languages. So this is in Java we used to use. This is in Python. Same thing in Python is none.
Okay, ma'am.
Same thing in C languages, null. This is in C or C++. Fine. These are the keywords. Keywords to represent nothing in Python is none. Keyword to represent nothing, address. Because in Java also we say no, obj is equal to null. String is equal to null. We used to say that. We used to say s is equal to null because it's an object. Either you provide an object of a string, or we have to, if it should not point to any object, what you should say? Null. Means now it is not pointing to anything, no address. So anything about references will be initialized with null in Java, none in Python. And in Python everything is none right now. There is no other data type now. We have said references. Variables can be either none, or variables can be talking about some object. So either they are pointing to nothing or they are pointing to some object. That's the only difference here. But I can't give variable as null. We can't say variable is equal to null. This is wrong. Okay. Is that clear? Any confusion till here? So default arguments is clear.
Yes, ma'am.
And next is variable arguments. Now till now whatever we did is fixed number of arguments, required arguments. If it says 3, we have to pass 3. If it says 2, we have to pass 2. Only with the help of default values we were having optional. Default argument was given, then I can pass 3 or 2. That's the only way. But if you define a sum function with n1 comma n2, how many values we need to pass for it?
2 values.
Yeah. Now
None.
how many ways I can execute this function? How many ways we can call it right now?
Directly we can call without passing it.
Can I do this?
Yes.
Because it is having which arguments right now? How many arguments? Both
Oh.
has default arguments were given. Both variables had the default arguments. So user can call it without a value, with a value, with the 2 values. These were all correct right now. But now if I define a sum function with, I want to add 5 values also, what I should take? Then I have to declare so many variables, no? If I want to define a sum function to add, whatever you pass, will it accept? In this function, how many values we have to pass at the most?
5.
5. If I want optional in this, means I mentioned default values for it. So I can pass 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Can I pass more than that?
No.
No, we can't pass. So that means I want some function should take any number of values you pass. It should accept 1, it should accept 2, 3, 10, 20, 100. I want such a variable argument. I don't want a fixed set of values. I don't want only 5 or less, because 5 or less can be done with the default. We can manage that. But I want 5 or 10 or 100, no limit on that. So for that, we have a concept of variable arguments. So in that, instead of mentioning like this, what I will take is first a variable and another is a tuple variable, any variable, just I'm saying. Okay, let me say if user passes only one value, it will be stored in which variable? 1. But if he passes more than 1, the first value is always stored in the first variable, but rest all are taken like a tuple of values, and that will be stored in a tuple pointer. So here we have this pointer symbol in Python, star. Generally we can say t, but here variable arguments are taken with a pointer notation in direction operator. So now that means the sum function can take minimum 1. If you pass just one value, as if like I wrote the function definition with how many arguments? If I write like this, how many arguments I can pass? How many we should pass for that function? If I write only n1, pass one argument,
1.
mandatory here. If I write like this, okay. But if I write the sum function n1 comma n2, how many we have to pass?
2.
2.
Must pass 2. But if I define with default or 0, let us say 0, because if nothing is passed, we should get 0 on the screen. Now we can pass 0, 1
0,
or
1 or 2.
but not more than that. So if I want the function should add any number of arguments, it is not going to do that. So for that, we will define a sum with 1. This is expecting how many arguments? 1, minimum 1, if I just write this one. Second argument, I am taking like a tuple, a pointer, just a pointer to whatever you pass, a list of data. That means first argument will be stored in which variable? n1, and rest others will be stored in, others are tuple of values, tuple or list or anything, whatever it may be. It is stored in the others are as collection and stored in which reference? In t reference variable. Clear? So that means this function can now take 1 to 2. Okay, 1 and more. Now if I just print n1, which value it will print? Only the first value. But second t, the second variable is talking about remaining all values, whatever you supplied. If you supply 5 values, the first value will be stored in which variable? n1, and remaining 4 values will be stored in which variable? T variable. So if you pass 10, first value will be stored in which variable? n1, and remaining 9 values will be stored in which variable? T, like a list or tuple of values. Clear? So if I print n1, which value it is printing? Of the passed values. Whatever you passed, out of that only it represents the first one. But if I print t, it will print rest of the values passed. Clear? Okay, let me show it practically, then you'll understand. So I'm defining, okay, just display function n1, and I'm just declaring a pointer. Any variable take, I'm just taking p right now, n1, and I want to print p. Now how do I call this function? I can call function by just one argument. Minimum is 1. Now let me see the output first. If I pass 1, what will be the output on the screen? You can see that. What is the symbol here? Okay, let me skip this. I printed which value? First one. So what will be the output? Did I pass any other values? Did I pass any other values? Or only one value? When only one value is passed, it is stored in which variable? N1. And there will be an empty tuple. An empty tuple will be created. Object is created. And is stored in which variable? P variable. So P variable points to which object? Tuple object. N1 points to the first object. So you have to be very clear here. N1 points to the first object, whatever you pass. And P points to the next tuple of values. Whatever you pass next are nothing but a tuple of values right now. So out of whatever we pass to this function, now I can pass 5, 6. What is happening right now? N1 will get which value? 5. And P will get which value? It will create like this, a tuple of values. If I call the display with 5, 6, 7, 8, what will happen background? N1 will get which value? 5. And P points to which value?
6, 7,
Tuple of 6, 7, 8. So means automatically, means if you pass 1 also it will accept, because second will be automatically initialized to none. Empty tuple, not none, empty tuple. It's a tuple object created. So while calling function, if you pass only 1, second will be taken like automatically empty. It's like passed automatically. We don't have to do that. Pass 1, second will be automatically as a, like default here is what right now? Internally the code is having which object? A tuple object. So we can pass 1, we can pass 2, or we can pass 3. Let us see the output once, we'll see that. Python is very easy as compared to Java, but only thing is we have to understand the topics well. Otherwise, confusion. Because here we are not mentioning anything explicitly, we have to understand everything on our own. Okay. Now, what will be the output of the first line? Only prints N1 first time, right? Is that clear for the first one? Did I
yes, ma'am.
P value? I did not print. So when I don't print value, I'm only printing the first value. That's the reason only 5 is printed. But doesn't mean P is not created. We can even print P value and see. What is P value right now? When I call the function with only one value,
Empty tuple.
empty tuple will be printed on the screen. Right? Now, if I call the function second time with 5 and 6, what will happen right now? Now I'll comment the first one, and then we are calling the function with 2 values. What is the output of print N1? First value will be passed and stored in which variable? N1. And remaining all other values will be stored in which variable?
Tuple.
So that means it's a tuple of values. So first value is stored in which variable? N1. So what is the output here? This part. When you printed N1, it prints which value? 5. When you printed P, it prints which value?
Tuple of 6.
Tuple of 6. Clear? Now again you can see the comma. See, observe that. System is doing automatically. It is only doing that. When you passed one value, it created a tuple and put comma on its own, because it's waiting for some other values. So this is automized code. Now I'm commenting this code and trying to call the third code. Now how many values I'm passing to the display? I'm passing 4 values. First will be in which? First will be in the and when remaining
And
all will be in the like this
tuple.
actually. So we have a comma symbol that is important here. Okay. Okay, for 2 values it is showing. So anyhow, we have the 3 values stored here. Okay, in this one, comma is not placed. Only for 2, because tuple is actually minimum of 2 values karke they put a comma there. Is that clear? Confusion or it's okay? Now where can I use this concept is if I say sum of the operation, sum of whatever you pass. If you pass one value or more values, I want to display the sum of it. How do I find the sum of all the values? If it's only one value, my answer would be if you pass only one value, it will only say sum as the first value. If you say something like this. But if I say sum of 5 comma 6, what should be your answer on the screen? We should get 11 on the screen. But other values are present where exactly? In a tuple. How do we get each value of the tuple? Is it okay? I want to get each value of the tuple. Whether it's there or not there, I don't know. I'm writing a for each loop. For in loop, for each value found in the tuple, I want to store it in which variable? Value. And I want to add to which variable? Okay, I don't have to print it here. I just initialize the first with s with n1 initially. Then I'm adding that s with the remaining other values in the tuple. Finally, we can just print the value. Just check once, you'll understand that. I'm able to call this with more values also, any number of values. Whatever you want, you can pass right now. There is no restriction on the values. So you can see what I have done here. I have taken initially the sum with which value? Whatever you passed first. Minimum 1 is required. I can't pass less than that. I can't call it like this. It won't work. Minimum missing 1 required position argument for n1 is minimum. We have to pass for n1. Rest are your wish. If you don't pass, it will take an empty tuple. So I have to pass minimum 1 argument. So if I pass only 1, it will be replaced in which variable? N1, and initially the default sum is equal to how much? That passed value, whatever you pass. Then we have written a for loop. For loop will run as long as tuple has a value. If tuple is not having any value, this loop will not even run. This loop will only run when there are some values in the tuple. So ultimately this will be doing sum of all the values in the tuple. And then what are we trying to do finally? Print the sum value. So even if I'm passing 1, it will be placed here. This will not get executed. Sum is the same value. If I'm calling the function with 2 values, 5 will be placed in the sum, 6 is in the tuple. This loop will run only for once, and 5 plus 6 is added, 11 is printed. If we are passing more values, only the first value is here, other values are in the tuple. Each value we are taking and adding into the sum. Sum is equal to sum plus that value, sum plus that value. Finally, we are getting the value. Is that clear? Any confusion to you? Both of you? Is it clear?
It is clear, ma'am.
Yeah. So there's one more topic, I'll cover it tomorrow, the last concept actually. So there are totally 5 variations in the function definition. The last one is lambda expression. This is there in Java also actually, in 8 version. Sorry, Java 7 version I suppose. Lambda is in the Java 7 version. So how many we have learned today? How many types of function definitions?
4 types, ma'am.
First is required args. Second is
Keyword arguments.
keyword arguments. Third is
default arguments.
default arguments. And fourth is,
Fourth is variable arguments.
so whenever you're not sure of the number of arguments, go with the variable. When I'm not sure of the inputs. And fifth one is lambda expansion. So this I'll finish it tomorrow. So by this, functions will be almost done. And there are only two more topics I have to cover in that. There are some functions called as locals or globals. There are two predefined functions. Predefined to get the list of local values in a file. And whenever you want to get the list of all the global data of a file, of a module, data or functions names. I'll teach you tomorrow this concept also. Fine. So any doubts as of now? Definition of function, scope of a variable, what are the different scopes? We have seen local scope, global scope. Is that clear to you?
Yes, clear, ma'am.
Fine. So we'll cover tomorrow.